Hey everyone, welcome back to JavaScript Deep Dive. I'm Madan Mohan, and in today's episode, we'll explore the different ways to create and access variables in JavaScript. So, before we proceed further, let me tell you what is a variable first. When I say variable, it is just a container which is holding a information. So, understand it this way: if you are having a box with you, you can hold an item inside it, right? That's how variables here can hold information. So you can think of it as a virtual box which can hold the information that you are assigning it to the variable. In simple terms, that's what a variable is. So variables are essential in any programming language because they're allowing us to store and manipulate the data. In JavaScript, we have three main ways to declare variables, that is using var, let, and const. We are going to see how to create a variable now. First of all, I'm just writing a equals to 10. See here, now the value of a is 10. What if I wanna change this to 20? You can see the value of a is 20. And not just the number, you can even store different types as well, different data types. Let's say, for example, name equals to, right? So it's a string. So you can even store boolean values as well. Simply, this is how we can create a variable and you can actually add values and modify the values. But in general, we don't directly write a variable like this. Let me show you. So the first way of creating a variable is using a var. This is the oldest way of creating a variable. Let me start with that. Var a equals to 10. So here I just created a variable using var, it's a special keyword, when assigned value to it. You can even do it this way. When I just created a variable, that means a variable has been created and it is been allocated a memory. If you already watched my previous videos, you would have understand this. So as a variable has been created, as soon as the variable is created, the undefined is going to be assigned to it. If you wanna see, let me log this. See here, undefined. Why it is undefined? See, as I just created a variable using var and I didn't assign any value at. So at the initial stage, first at the memory allocation phase, all the variables inside JavaScript, all the variables in your program are going to be assigned with the value undefined. Right? Now, what if I assign a value to it? Let me, now you can see initially a is assigned with the value undefined, and then as I assign a value 10 to it, undefined would be replaced with this 10. Okay, this is how we can create a variable in JavaScript. Now what is the alternative way of doing it? We can use let as well. Let b equals to 20. Now of b, you can see both look same. Now the difference between var and let is, let me explain. As I said, a would be assigned with a value undefined, and coming to the b, what would be the case? Let's say I'm saying let name. Let me console this. Name is undefined, right? What if I try to access it before the declaration? See this. This is one of the difference between let and var. See what is it showing over here? Reference error. Cannot access name before initialization. But coming to this var, you can even access it before initialization, right? We have seen this in the first episode itself. Let me show you again. See this. When in line number 1, it is showing undefined. So the difference is, if you declare a variable using var, that particular variable would be assigned with a special keyword which is undefined at the memory allocation phase. But coming to the let, if you use this let to declare a variable, it will stored in a separate space, not in the global space. That is the actual difference. Just because this name is stored in a separate space, unless you assign a value to it, you cannot access it. What I mean by that? I'll assign a value to it. and let me try to log this. You can see Madan has been printed over here. So if you use let, unless a value has been assigned to it, you cannot access the specific variable. So this particular the time period from which the variable has been declared and assigned a value, the time period between these two, we call it as a temporal dead zone. The variables which are declared using let will not be accessible until then it got some value. That particular period is nothing but a temporal dead zone. And this is the difference between var and let. All right. Next, there is another way of creating a variable which is const. So when I say const, it is a constant. That means the value which is assigned to this particular variables which are created using constant cannot be changed. Let me show you. All right. Console.log of team. Right. Team is showing India. Now what if I try to change this? I'm just trying to change this to Australia. Now see here, type error, assignment to the const variable. That means you declared a constant, team as a constant, and you are trying to assign another value to it, which is not possible over here. That's why it is throwing an error. So if you want, you can assign new value to these variables which are declared using var or let. Let's say b equals to 40 and console log this. You can see line number 8 is showing 20 and line number 10 is showing 40. That means you can change the information inside this variable, but when you declare it using a constant, that means it is a constant variable which is not allowed to be changed later. Right, that is the difference. Now let me show you the same over here. Let me add debuggers. Observe it over here. See, in global scope, we have a variable a, which is undefined initially. Before the execution of the program, inside the global scope, a is undefined. Coming to this, you can see here b. B is declared using let, right? That's the reason it is in a separate memory location. This is the actual difference. Just because the b which is declared using let is not inside global scope, you cannot access it until and unless you have added some value to it. That's the reason why it is throwing an error when you try to access this particular variable which is declared using let before the declaration. All right, you can see over here. This is the difference. In the coming episodes, we'll be discussing about functions. So even like people who are new to the JavaScript, you might be a bit confusing while watching my first and second episodes, but don't worry, just try to understand how the execution happens. Why? Because so in the coming classes, you're going to learn about the functions A to J. So if you understand the execution process, then it will be easy for you to understand how JavaScript programming works. And while you're writing the code, you can write it in a better way. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. Thanks for watching and happy coding.